But what we have decided is...
France and Bangladesh share a common vision for peace, multilateralism, and the rules-based international order. The message came from French Ambassador to Bangladesh, Jean Charlet, speaking at the IUB University in Dhaka amid growing global instability.
France, Germany, etc. can take a position whereby you can reinsert a value-driven foreign policy and your relationship in the global system.
Delivering the keynote address at a lecture titled France and the World, Bangladesh in it, Ambassador warned that the global order is becoming increasingly fragile. He said unilateralism, disregard for international law, and rising conflict are contributing to what he described as the brutalization of global politics.
I'm very interested to see that university has a gender balance 50-50, which is quite impressive, and it is exactly what we are in favor of. So congratulations for this. As the previous speaker mentioned before, yes, France and Bangladesh have a long common history. I'm not going to come back to the 18th century, it has been done. Yes, we were with Bengal Nawab in middle of the 80s when you fought against the British. Yes, we had a comptoir in Chandrinagar. Yes, Minister Malraux, he was not only a minister, he was a writer, he was an intellectual, as you rightly mentioned. And he was also a minister, the first ever minister of culture in the world. Before him, there was no minister of culture, and he created the job, and little by little, this function, which is a key one, developed and spread all over the world. But he was a close associate to the General de Gaulle. He was a resistance during the Second World War, he was a fighter, he was an intellectual, and he really, in 1970-71, decided to engage in favor of Bangladesh, which was not yet Bangladesh, but he thought it was the right of people to take its destiny in its own hands. So he was a true friend of Bangladesh. And you mentioned the visit of Mr. Macron, but Mr. Mitterrand came as well in a state visit in Bangladesh.
The ambassador praised Bangladesh's role in United Nations peacekeeping missions, calling the country a vital contributor to global peace and security. He stressed that both France and Bangladesh remain firm supporters of the United Nations, multilateral cooperation and international law, which he described as the only viable framework for global stability.
Bangladesh being on the verge of capital elections, it's difficult to draw a sort of program to develop between our two countries. But what I want to say is that we are ready for that. France wants to partner. We identified clearly Bangladesh as a key country in South Asia, a peaceful one, a country engaged in multilateralism. We share these values with you. We need you. We need you to be more active on the world scene. I arrived only 4 months ago, but I'm surprised how Bangladesh has sometimes difficulties to project itself on the world stage. It's important to do so because what happens on the world stage impacts directly on us. So we have to be active players, and my presence here is an invitation for, and I say it to the diplomats I meet and your advisor for foreign affairs, of course. After the elections, we are willing to develop our relation because we can do a lot together, especially on the world scene, to break lines, to break the way some countries behave now, and to try to defend what we believe in, both countries, which is principles. Thank you very much.
In the concluding remarks, Nahar Khan, President and Executive Chair of the MaranaFoundation, said Bangladesh-France relations are evolving beyond traditional development cooperation.
It is increasingly shaped by economic complementaries, shared innovation agendas, and a long-term strategic alignment. Bangladesh and France have each contributed uniquely to our shared global goals. Whether it's France's expertise in technology and sustainable development, or Bangladesh's vibrant economic growth, creative industries, and demographic dynamism, which of course we can see in this room right here. This exchange reminds us that sustainable partnerships are also shaped in universities, research centers, and dialogue platforms, where ideas are tested, assumptions challenged, and future leaders, like many of you that I see, are being engaged. Our hope is that such exchange can expand and deepen our cooperation in cultural diplomacy through arts and people-to-people connectivity, collaboration on climate action, digital innovation, security, and ethical and inclusive frameworks for emerging technology. At MaranaFoundation, we believe that meaningful dialogue must go beyond statements and symbolism. It must create a space for honest discussion, mutual learning, and long-term collaboration. And today's seminar was intended to be a space just for that. May today's exchange continue to inspire cooperation and collaboration in the service of a strong, evolving, and enduring partnership between Bangladesh and France in the time ahead. Thank you and merci.
She said partnership is increasingly shaped by economic complementaries, shared innovation agendas, and long-term strategic alignment. MaranaFoundation Chairman Masood Khan highlighted historic ties dating back to 18th century and France's support during Bangladesh's liberation war.
European countries with which Bangladesh has always maintained a separate diplomatic channel, even after the advent of the EU. Today, we view France as probably one of the most ardent supporters of Bangladesh in Brussels, of the last Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dawla, at the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Although that didn't end well for either party, this little detail has remained as a mark of deep ties forged through fire, and perhaps that is why even today, almost 300 years later, the ties between Bangladesh and France have not only endured but thrived. A number of French businesses already operate in Bangladesh, from cafes to defense contractors, and we expect to see more in the future as Bangladesh graduates into a middle-income country. Lastly, both the countries believe in the strength of bilateral and international cooperation in the face of the climate emergency of which Bangladesh is one of the biggest victims. Bangladesh and France have jointly called for the swift implementation of the 2015 Paris Agreement and for the mobilization of additional financing from all sources for development, climate, and biodiversity. Thank you.
He noted that bilateral trade reached $4.5 billion in the 2024 and 25 fiscal year, nearly doubling since 2021.
But what we have decided is we have to settle our